It wasn't chaos. I mean, the fact of the matter is 325,000 people from foreign countries came into the United States yesterday, and 109 people were detained for further questioning. Most of those people were moved out. If they're folks that shouldn't be in this country, they're going to be detained. And so apologize for nothing here.
That's White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus commenting after Friday's executive order drew widespread protests. Court orders have temporarily barred the U.S. from deporting those people. Joining me now is David Miliband, former Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom and now President and CEO of the International Rescue Committee, and Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. All right, gentlemen, I'll start with you, David. Now, you are someone who has been involved in a lot of these refugees programs, and you are not happy with this executive order. Tell me why.
Well, we run an international humanitarian aid program for people who are the victims of war around the world, and we resettle refugees into the United States. We've done so for 60 years with great success. Yes, 60. We were founded by Albert Einstein in 1933, a famous refugee to the United States. And what I would say about this order is that it's neither going to advance the international security aims of the Trump administration, nor the humanitarian goals. Remember,
who are you to say that it's not going to advance our goals? What information do you have that you think is more intelligence-oriented than the White House has?
Let me give you a couple of points. First of all, 47%, nearly half of all the refugees from Syria who've been coming to this country, and remember, Syrians are banned indefinitely from coming as refugees.
Right.
Nearly half of them are under the age of 14, so they are children. The number of single males in the Syrian population coming here is very, very small indeed. Secondly, my organization, a quarter of the people that we're resettling into the United States this year come from Iraq, who have been doing service with the American military. On the ground, you've got American troops. They need translators. These are people risking their lives to save American lives. And the ban that's been announced on those people would prevent them coming to the U.S., even if they've been threatened in their own country. That doesn't seem to me right. It doesn't advance the interests of the U.S.
What do you say to that?
Well, I say first, thank you, Mr. Miliband, for the work that you do. I have family in Syria that have been trying to escape, and yes, that's a humanitarian disaster. But it is time after 8 years of blindness. I mean, you can't tell me, great, there has certainly been vetting against terror groups and militancy, but you can't tell the American people that there's been any vetting against jihadist mentality, ISIS sympathies, Islamist sympathies. So therefore, I think, as somebody who has family in Aleppo, I would tell you it is tough love to tell them, you know what, let America feel more comfortable about who is coming here by knowing that the ideologies of Califism, jihadism, Wahhabism begins to be vetted, and that's what's not been done, and this pause is important to do. I would agree with you, it doesn't make sense why Syria was made indefinite. If anything, that should be at the head of the line to start back up at 120 days.
But I can assure you that there is precisely the kind of vetting that you described, both biometric vetting to see whether or not people are who they say they are.
But there are no real records, are there, David?
Well, first of all, Syrians do have extensive records. It's not
wait a minute, 400,000 have been killed. Who's keeping the records?
Well,
City Hall?
The ones who've escaped are keeping the records, obviously. And these are people, remember, we're meeting them in Jordan, in Lebanon, we're giving them aid there. We're also meeting them in Greece, where we're keeping them safe as they come off the boats. The first thing they do is they take out their mobile phone, and the second thing they do is they show you their papers. And Syrians keep those papers. It's not a matter of going to the Assad government. The people have them. Now, we don't just take their word for it, or rather, the U.S. agencies, 12 to 15 government agencies, do the vetting over about 18 months before anyone is allowed to be a refugee in the United States.
And I'm going to give Dr. Jasser a chance to respond, but when the head of the FBI here says that we have no way to vet these people, there is no database to compare them.
Well, remember, the question that he was answering was that for those individuals for whom there are no papers, they don't get allowed in.
Well,
America
wait a minute, but
chooses
Syrian
who
passports
comes in.
are very, I mean, we know that in Europe, several of the young people who have become lone wolves and have created problems in Germany, have had these fake Syrian passports.
The point I'm making is that there's both the biometric testing to check that you are who you you say you are, the iris scans to say that
You
who you
mean
are.
to
And
tell
secondly,
me in Syria they've got iris scanners?
No, the person who arrives in Jordan and presents themselves and gives their name, we then check, or you then check, the U.S. authorities, that when they present themselves to the U.S. authorities 2 or 3 years later, that it's the same person.
All right,
and secondly, the point about their views, there are personal interviews by CIA and other officers to ensure that people aren't going to be a threat to the United States. The fact that more than nearly half of them are kids is obviously part of the story. But I'd also say that the people who are giving service to the United States in Iraq today are doing national service for you. They are making sure that they're keeping America safe. And remember, in my previous job, I sat as a principal defending the security of both the United Kingdom and the Western world. I don't say this lightly.
Jasser,
but that messaging, that messaging that they're getting, you're right, that needs to be corrected because those folks are serving and helpful, but you cannot tell us that the ideologies are being vetted. The current people asking interviews are not anti-Islamists. They haven't been helped by anti-Islamists. The last 8 years has been sympathetic to Islamist groups. And I would actually add the founding fathers of ISIS are the Qataris, the Saudi Wahhabis. So those, if anything, probably should have been on the list for 120 days. I don't know why they're not. But until Americans see the Trump administration convene a commission on radical Islam and begin to publicly say that we're going to vet against these ideas. I mean, in the Cold War, Mr. Miliband, we did vet against communist ideology, Soviet sympathizers, etc. Right now, your biometric testing and other things are not actually making us feel better because there's nothing ideological that's been transparent to the American population to make us feel safe.
The point is the interviews are deliberately not transparent. They don't publish the questions in advance because then people would know what to say. I'd say this. It's a sad day when the propaganda gift to ISIS and to Al-Qaeda allows them to say to Muslims around the world that America doesn't want them. When in fact, 3,500 Muslims are serving in the American military. That's not the right.
The gift is the blindness against Islamism. The gift is your blindness against Islamism. That is the gift which prevents America from truly being that beacon of liberty and freedom against Islamism and against theocracy, which is what America's founding fathers and foundations is about. We can do this. America is smart enough to say that Muslims that are against theocracy are with us, Muslims that are for theocracy are against us, and that is something we can do and should do as Americans.
Great discussion. Thank you, David Miliband and Dr. Zuhdi Jasser.